Welcome to Power Over Debt, Breaking the Debt Cycle. We're delighted that you've joined Evergreen Direct Credit Union for this important program to help you get and stay out of debt. We encourage our participants to discuss these topics with their family. My name is Wendy Wagner, and I'll be your presenter today. We've discussed about different kinds of debt and the cost of having poor credit history, and ways to tackle your debt, pitfalls to avoid, and tips to rebuilding good credit history. The next several slides explain how you can stay out of debt. Just one unbudgeted expense, like a major car repair or a dead refrigerator, can throw your monthly budget into a tailspin. No matter how the economy is doing, you can't afford not to have an emergency fund. How can you accumulate one? Here are some tips. Track your spending and figure out how much you need to save. Ideally, you want to save 3 to 6 months of living expenses. If you're starting from scratch, temporarily stop or reduce contributions to your retirement savings, except for the amount that you need to get the employer to match you. Once your emergency fund is built up, resume those contributions. Cut back on unnecessary expenses and redirect those dollars to your emergency fund. If you get a raise, save it. Save your tax refund. Involve the whole family. Ask the kids for ideas of low-cost family fun, such as picnics instead of eating out, or reducing the number of pizza toppings. Automate it. Start small and have a set amount automatically transferred to your savings. That way you won't miss it. And don't touch it unless you have an unbudgeted, necessary expense. Here's another must-do. If you're going to successfully stay out of debt, you must know where your money goes. If you've never tracked your spending, start by writing down every penny that you spend for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Keep a notebook in your pocket or purse. It's really not that difficult. Keep all of your receipts. Here, try using the envelope method. You can use this method in 2 ways. Write categories on your envelopes and place the receipts in them. So you may have an envelope that's marked groceries, one that's marked gas, one that's marked entertainment, so on and so forth. Or you can use the envelope to allocate cash into each of these envelopes as your budget. You'll know when it's gone because the envelope will be empty, and that would help you budget. Some people prefer the checkbook or account book method, which is mostly self-explanatory. Or you can use a computer program. There is no one right method for everyone, so choose the one that works for you. Money Desktop is available through our online banking under the word Services. You can bring in your financial information from multiple financial institutions. You can track your expenses and make a budget. This new financial tool is exciting. I hope you'll sign into online banking and take a look at it now. I think you'll be amazed. Once you have a handle on where your money goes and you've set up a budget or a spending plan, which we talked about earlier, then it's time to trim those spending leaks. Everyone has them. Here's an example. Let's say you cut out that daily $3.50 cup of coffee. You'd save about $25 a week, $100 a month, or $1,200 a year. After you identify your spending leaks, then it's time to think about making changes to plug those leaks. Here are some tips. First, learn to recognize your triggers. These are the things that put you into spending situations in the first place. If you meet friends at your favorite coffee shop, meet them somewhere else so that you're not tempted to buy that expensive latte. Start asking yourself if you really need it. Does this purchase help you reach your goal? Could you do without it? If you decide it's a low priority, say no and walk away. Stick to the spending limits that you've set for yourself in your spending plan. And finally, try to reduce waste to help save money. Combine your errands to save on gasoline. Sign up for electronic statements. Research has proven that it takes 3 to 4 weeks to break an old habit. So be patient. Don't expect miracles overnight. Start small, and eventually you'll find big savings by plugging those spending leaks. Once you've started tracking where your money goes and identify spending leaks, set up a budget or a spending plan based on realistic numbers. What are the benefits of a spending plan? Well, it helps you stay on track financially. It helps you decide where your money goes. It helps you make informed choices. It helps you determine whether you're living within your means. It helps you develop a savings plan. It helps you control your financial future. If you use credit cards, make sure you use them wisely as you're paying down your debt and from now on. Get a handle on your needs versus wants. Remember, needs are food, water, shelter, clothing, and air. Make a list of items that you'll allow yourself to charge and stick to it, unless you pay off the balance in full each month. Should you be charging groceries on your credit card? Probably not. Remember, if you're an impulse shopper, consider putting your credit cards in a container of water and freezing it. For any purchase you make on a credit card, make sure you keep the receipt so that you can check your statement for accuracy. Card issuers do make mistakes, so don't assume the statement is accurate, and keep track of how much you owe. Keep under your safe credit limits. What's the best way to use credit cards? Only charge as much as you can afford to pay in full when the bill comes due. That way, you don't pay interest. What's one of the worst ways you could use a credit card? Charging a lot of purchases and only making the minimum payment when the bill comes due. Why? Because you're paying the maximum in interest. Let's assume your interest rate is 18% and you only pay the minimum of 4% due each month on the balance that you owe. If you owe $2,000 on a credit card and you pay only the minimum required, it will take you 9.5 years to pay off that balance, and you'll pay $1,116 in interest charges. So the actual cost of the $2,000 purchases is more than $3,100. But look what you can save by paying a little bit more than the minimum. In this case, paying a steady $100 a month, you'll be credit card debt free in only 2 years and a savings of $720. That could be the equivalent of a month's rent or 2 or 3 car payments. Here's the kicker. These examples assume you don't make any additional charges during those payoff years. Expert advice that you always pay more than the minimum, and if possible, only charge as much as you can afford to pay in full when the statement is due. Now, the Card Act of 2009 requires that your statement includes a chart showing the cost of only making the minimum payments. It's a good reminder of what the credit costs you, and you should only charge as much as you can afford to pay off in full at the end of the month. The Credit Card Act of 2009 provides that your credit card statement is now required to have an accelerated payment schedule. Look at the first example on this. This person is required to pay $298 per month for their minimum payment. It is going to take them 22 years to pay off this debt if they maintain the minimum payment of $298. But if this person were to pay $477.32 for 3 years, they're going to save themselves $6,938.55. In the second example, the person saves $1,881.86 by paying just an extra $56 per month for the next 3 years. Take a look at your credit card statement and see what you can do with an accelerated payment. To explain utilization rate, let's talk about utilization rate as it relates to your credit limits. Your credit limit amount is what you can charge up to. So let's say your credit limit is $10,000 on all of your cards combined. If you charge $9,000 on those cards, your utilization rate is 90% in this example. Lenders who look at your credit report may say, this person has a high usage, a high percentage of credit limits, and may not be able to pay or manage their bills, so we're going to charge a higher rate because they look like a higher risk. Similarly, even a 50% utilization rate is considered too high. However, if you keep your total charges below 25%, in the case of a $10,000 limit, 25% is $2,500. Your utilization rate stays below 25%, and you'll likely get good interest rates and be accepted for loans at reasonable rates when you apply for them, as long as you have good bill paying history. A more reasonable credit limit for many people for one card is around $3,000, so 25% of that is $750. That's why you need to track all of your purchases with your credit so you don't go over the 25% of whatever your credit limits are. Sure, you could maintain a 25% utilization rate on one card and charge more by getting a second card, but then you risk not being able to manage multiple credit card payments. Not a good plan. Bottom line is, don't charge up to your credit limits just because they're there. Know what your limit is and keep your charges below 25% of that limit, except perhaps for emergencies. And when you do charge, try to make sure that you can afford to pay it off in full when the payment is due. Another great tip to help stay out of debt is to automate your finances as much as possible. Set up direct deposit and payroll deduction to your credit union. Pay bills online, which is safer than mailing checks, and the statements could contain your personal information. Here's another benefit of online banking. You can check your statement for accuracy 24/7. Here Here's a great tip that could prevent tempting credit card offers, as well as a lot of paper, from coming to your house in the first place. Opt out of receiving credit and insurance solicitation offers. There are 2 ways to do this. Call the 888-5 opt-out to get off of most credit card and insurance solicitation lists, or visit optoutprescreen.com. You will be asked if you want to be taken off the mailing list for 5 years or permanently. At any time you can undo whichever option you choose. You will need to provide your Social Security number for this service, but it's okay in this situation. This service is affiliated with the big 3 credit reporting agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Any issuers affiliated with the big 3 will stop sending you offers in the mail. Keep in mind, if you've had a relationship with a financial institution within the last 6 months, they may not be opted out of this because you have a relationship with them. So keep that in mind. You have many rights, and it is important to know what they are. There is a resource list within the information provided with this slide. With that resource list, it will give you valuable information on where to go to learn about your rights and responsibilities. Here's an important tip related to your responsible use of credit. It is your responsibility to prepare for the fact that you could lose your credit cards. That means knowing ahead of time who you need to call to report the loss or theft. Planning ahead can actually save you a lot of money if this happens to you. Let's see whether you know who to call. Take this quick quiz and note that there may be more than one answer to each of the cards on the left side of the screen. Do you know who you'd have to call if you lost your Visa card? Well, Visa and MasterCard are issued by credit unions or banks. So for a Visa or a MasterCard, you would want to contact the credit union or bank that issued the card. American Express cards are issued by American Express. Take out your wallet and look at the back of your credit cards. Do you see a telephone number to call? What should you do with those telephone numbers now? In the event that your card is lost or stolen, you're going to want to have a list of phone numbers in your wallet so that you can contact them quickly. And at home, in a safe place, you should maintain a list of both phone numbers and account numbers. Don't keep a list of account numbers in your wallet. The 10th tip to stay out of debt is really very simple and very important. Pay your bills on time. What happens when you pay late? What are some of the consequences? You'll be charged a late fee. Your credit score may suffer. You may pay higher interest rates on loans and credit cards and even your insurance. You may not be able to get the job that you applied for. You might not get the apartment that you want to rent. How can you avoid making late payments? Ask for easy to remember due dates. Use auto bill pay. Use online banking through the credit union. And if you have good payment history otherwise, ask for a fee waiver. Never hurts to ask. The best way to establish and build good credit history is to lay a solid foundation and have the right tools in place. Open a checking account at the credit union and use it responsibly. Maybe apply for a gas station card, a retail store card, or a credit card. Then to establish good credit history, only charge as much as you can afford to pay in full when the bill comes due. Don't open 15 of these cards or you might be overwhelmed by all the statements, and having too many cards could promote overspending. But if you have a problem getting approved for a gas or retail card or a personal loan, consider a secured credit card through the credit union. Other ways to establish good credit history include getting a small loan and paying it back promptly, and having a mix of credit over time. Our goal for this seminar is to not only give you the tools and information that you need to help you improve your credit situation, but to help you develop a personalized plan based on your needs, your credit situation, and your goals. If you would like a copy of the materials from this seminar, please email marketing@evergreendirect.org. I would also like to invite you to take the next step in getting out of debt by calling the credit union at 360-943-7676 or 1-800-327-4286 and schedule an appointment with an account manager as soon as possible. Our staff is in the business of changing members' lives. We can help. Call today.